Hey guys, welcome to another commentary done by Diggity. This is the other side of the semifinal. I was saying New Ocean versus Fischei. It is Gosufer versus Fischei. Apologies to Gosufer. Up right in corner of Gosufer, by the way, starting as the mustard, or I'm trying to remember what the official color name in the Brood War palette is, but anyway, yellow Protoss up right in corner. Fischei going to be the teal Protoss, bottom right. This is going to be on Radion, a larger macro map, and I am really interested. I think this series is going to be fantastic. I am really looking forward to this one in particular because these guys, so Fischei has been to the finals once before. Ended up, I'm trying to remember who I think he dropped it to Doodle. Doodle now in Pro League, so honestly, no shame in that. Doodle's just, it's kind of running into a Doodle on his ascendance. It kind of reminds me of, this is a complete side story, but I remember playing Counter-Strike and doing it competitively way back in the day, and one of the groups I was part of was trying to get into whatever the top league was for whatever division we were in. I can't remember the names of the divisions of the leagues anymore. I think it might have been Cal or something like that at the time. I'm not even sure. Or like some other gamer league, but we kept running into the problem where the very top, the bottom of the very top groups kept disbanding and reforming and then beating us on the way through back up to the top. So maybe we can, it's sort of an analogy out of that, but anyway, I wish I had spent all of that time. I had to stop playing Counter-Strike because I was hopelessly addicted to it. I wish I had spent that time playing Brood War instead. Go figure. And now I'm hopelessly addicted to Brood War commentary. Go figure. Anyway, gateway openers on both ends. Earlier scout here from Fischei. Both of these guys have been playing incredibly well. Gosufer, I can't remember which game it was, but I'm like, man, his skill level's really increased since the last time I saw him, and I was definitely thinking he's in championship form. Either of these guys could win this. Fischei, I feel like it's just, he's got a lot of experience. He's been a consummate competitor through all of these series. I would be interested to see if this is his season. So initial scout, Fischei going to get some pretty good eyes in the midst of this. Another player going for the 10 gate, which I think makes sense on a larger map. Not to say that we haven't seen players win with double gate on this map, but is larger macro oriented, which I think is more lent to 1 gate, 2 gate observer. Third pylon, or sorry, second pylon getting dropped. And Cybernetics core about to warp in for both these guys. Still no scouting for Gosufer. He went top left first, is now making his way bottom right. Did build the initial zealot to go ahead and chase this down. Do we have an initial zealot? We do have the initial zealot. And unfortunately for Gosufer, he's running into the situation where if Fischei is if he's a little bit heads up, should be able to block. I think this is a little bit off. But oftentimes that zealot can run down in the last second and block that probe out, and sometimes even get a kill here initially, but he's not going to get a lot of information out of this. Did not run down, however, in this situation. Instead, it was maybe more focused on the micro range upgrading. Fischei going to see it, which eliminates a lot of possibilities, and if there was going to be a cancellation and a follow-up, makes the option of early robotics a little bit less likely. Or I should say DT a little bit less likely. Dragoon now folding its way out, both probes making their way back across. Gosufer exiting to mid-map, Fischei returning home. Dragoon and Zealot staging forward. I think this is going to be, the way this is looking initially here, with that additional Dragoon, it looks like we're going to see potentially a faster robotics. He's got the probe sitting here. Yeah. 1 gate robo. Are we going to see 1 gate robo opposite side? Yeah. I was wondering if we were going to see either guy try to skip and go Nexus, then robo. But it looks like with the information that was gleaned, both sides opting at distance, I think that this is the build order that makes the most sense on a macro-oriented map with large spaces. Fischei pocketing at the near side, wants to try to confirm whether that near side Nexus is up. I don't think he's going to be able to make it past both Dragoons to get the visual confirmation, however. So yeah, sees the 2 Dragoons, goes for it anyway, ends up losing the probe and gets no information. So, and with the troop count on the front, doesn't really give him information as far as the gateway as well. Looks like we are going to see a second gateway in the midst of this. So Fischei theoretically with a build order advantage in the space of this. Observatory and robotics, zoop, click, zoop, and robotics support bay dropped. It's a little bit challenging when it's like behind the thing that you can't click through. Gosufer charging forward. This is going to be an even troop count. If he gets initial shots on the Zealot might be able to create some disruption, but wants to charge forward to see whether there's a natural expansion or not himself. So Zealot taking some damage. Now that we've got the reinforcing Dragoon, so I think this is going to be a dead Zealot, is what... yeah. So Gosufer sacrificing a Zealot, but potentially worth it, because I think he was able to confirm the lack of natural expansion in the midst of this. So he's gone 2-gate obs. And I think Gosufer, or sorry, Fischei, upon seeing that, might skip. So is going to Observer, Reaver, has an additional Dragoon, but is going to go ahead and probably skip the rest to go ahead and get that Nexus up fairly quickly. Gosufer with a little bit of a faster Nexus at the end. But so it's kind of one of those things where if you invest in the Reaver, it makes it a little bit safer, but if you... It's such a defensive unit until you get that shuttle. Can be a little bit of trouble, if that makes any sense, where it's like, oh, you're investing in something you don't necessarily need to utilize. So I think Gosufer going to get the better part of this bargain in the midfield. I will say Fischei has managed to macro his way into a 3-probe lead in the midst of all of this. And going ahead and dropping that defensive pylon to disrupt his enemy AI in the space of this. Observer going to... Did the Observer see? Just outside of each other's range. Same deal opposite side from Gosufer. He's going to have a little bit more of a sizable Dragoon army if he... Did he time this? Okay, a slight supply block, and that's going to allow Gosufer to maintain a little bit of a lead, but I think he might have more Dragoons. So 8, is that right? Yeah. Versus 6, but you got the Reaver on the opposite side, but again, just purely defensive until we get that shuttle up. Natural expansion now established. Observer seeing everything. And it is going to get a full eyeful, is even going to be able to see the Reaver timing. So we're usually, I would say, in a heads-up situation, it's like, well, Gosufer got a little bit better of that exchange with the earlier everything. Fischei is actually a little bit up on workers at the end of this. So we're going to have kind of an equalized mid-game with the slight advantage to Fischei in... Sorry, the slight advantage to Gosufer in the form of a shuttle, providing a bit more mobility in the space of this. Gosufer going ahead and dropping some pylons out defensively just in case Fischei was going to make his way across. Actually, Fischei maintaining a single worker lead with the gap closed right there. He's got a small 2-supply lead. Very, very razor-thin margins here. Observer just camped out. I think there's a little bit of a visual advantage for Fischei as well. He's got a little bit more. He got the larger amount of scouting information in the mid-game. Goes for investing in shuttle speed, by the way. So maybe opting to be a bit more aggressive. Observer going to be able to cycle down and at least, for Gosufer, and at least confirm that the natural expansion's up. See the positioning of the Reaver. Doesn't have eyes whether there's a second Reaver on the low ground or not. Fischei playing very defensively. He's invested in a second Reaver and yet no shuttle in the space of this. And in the meantime, yeah, shuttle and Reaver out. Additional gateway tacked on here for Gosufer. So, and Fischei surging a little bit ahead in supply with the delay, but everything basically straight up even. So oftentimes what happens in PvP, you have that one big climactic battle that happens with one initiation on one side or another. Second gas, by the way, grabbed here from Gosufer, not yet from Fischei. 2 gateways come in. It feels like Fischei is just slightly behind. He's ahead in supply, but slightly behind in the build order. And I think Gosufer is going to have the initiative a little bit ahead, mostly because of that shuttle speed. Another observer able to slide in, though, for Fischei. This is one thing you cannot afford to do with Fischei, is you cannot give him this sort of vision of your base. Otherwise, he will punish you for it. Observer queued up, but nothing there. He's going to be able to fan back out, and looks like he is going to be able to pick off that observer, but not before just gleaning an immense amount of information. And Fischei, with everything he's seen, going to start moving out on the field with a slower shuttle. Gosufer's troops a little bit scattered right this second, but Fischei doesn't have a very cohesive army either. We'll need to gather it up a bit before he's able to make his way out. Another observer making its way out for Gosufer, trying to confirm. Unfortunately, it just missed the army making its way across, so able to confirm no third. Is now trying to make its way back to see whether this army's making its way forward, and Fischei, able to see the forward attack trooping, is going to be able to drop the Reavers ahead of this and get some free shots. Ooh, and the Reavers are isolated along that right-hand flank. One Reaver heavily damaged, and they're being folded back, and I think Fischei, yeah, just slaughtering this army as a result. Holy cow, what a huge positional win for Fischei. Monstrous victory. Unbelievable engagement. Oh, man. Whew. And now Fischei just completely gutted that army because Gosufer out of position. Let's see if he continues with it. The Reavers are still up, but won a large portion of that engagement. Reavers trying to slot their way back. Fischei regathering. That was about as beautiful an engagement as you're going to see, by the way. More reinforcements make their way up. Looks like it might have been squandered, however. Reavers still... Oof, the Dragoons are piling up here for Fischei, which is allowing Gosufer to get some counter damage. He's still maintaining the upgrade lead. We have one Reaver free. If the Reaver can just sneak up a little bit, should be able to get shots on the probe line. Gosufer going to go ahead and draw back before that becomes an option, but as a result, he's going to take some economic hit. There are a few probes latently remaining, and two of them are wiped out. So Fischei now considerably ahead in workers. Still has the shuttle holding here, and he should draw back, honestly. Has that one last hit, is moving up with more Dragoons, so rather than drawing back, is going to continue with the aggression, has wiped out the Reaver on the low ground. Still has a shuttle and Reaver of his own, and I think, he's just going to try to end the game here. He's also getting the 6 o'clock base. Stellar stuff here from Fischei. He's looking very, very sharp in this game one. And really, honestly, looking in finalist form here. That the mid-game engagement there, holy cow, was that strong. High Templar sidling its way out. I don't know if Psystorm has been invested by Gosufer or not. He's down to a single base, however. Soon going to be against 3. And we got more Dragoons. Some probes already going to saturate the 6 o'clock. And more troops coming to support the front. The shuttle's been wiped out. The Reaver's still on the low ground. And you got an entire additional control group and 2 additional Reavers in the shuttles making the way forward. So I don't know that Gosufer's ever going to be able to reclaim control of that natural expansion if Fischei wants to deny it. Situation is that Fischei does not need to keep engaging in these fights, however, but it looks like he is going to persist. Yeah, Gosufer recognizing he's just down troops is going to GG. Game 1 going to Fischei in a very convincing manner. We'll see if Gosufer is able to recover and provide a stronger match in Game 2. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for listening.